Hi, I'm Matthew McCanne, and I am a Chief Information Security Officer at Stepping Forward Technology. So I'm in charge of Stepping Forward's internal security program, as well as rolling out industry standards to our clients. We typically do monthly audits and implement standards based on best industry practices. Our approach to cybersecurity is known as assume breach mentality. Assume breach mentality is a cybersecurity philosophy that accepts that cybersecurity incidents are inevitable, and it makes it so that in our mind, we operate in a way that assumes that somebody has already breached our network or will inevitably at some point do it. This is so important because, as we've seen throughout the entirety of technology and its advancements, what we've seen is the attacks have been very deliberate on adapting to our methods of trying to stop them. Unfortunately, a breach is likely at some point in some company's history. And so this mentality helps us prepare for when that does occur. And while we've also seen the amount of attacks increase year over year, one of the biggest changes is the amount of damages that companies are seeing from those attacks themselves. And those damages come in a financial cost. Over the years, we've already kind of seen ourselves become very proficient in trying to stop attacks. And while we've done that, eventually we need to have that mentality that someone is already in or going to get into our networks. And the first pillar, of course, is detection. How do we know if somebody's already in our network? That's where a lot of tools come into place. We typically use a term called Security Operations Center, or SOC for short, as a method of doing detection within the entire chain of events that an attack would include. The important thing to know, however, is that while initial access is the first thing an adversary will do, there are many different steps after that a Security Operations Center will be able to alert to. So if they end up getting through that first section of our cybersecurity efforts, we will likely catch them down the road. So the response piece of this entire mindset goes along with receiving those alerts at every step that an adversary could take and shutting off their access right then and there. It'll take an adversary on average about 86 minutes to go from a lateral movement to getting to that data, while a security operations center will take about 5 minutes to provide those alerts and to shut down any access, which could include isolating devices or shutting down user accounts completely. So the third pillar is called recovery. One of the best things you can do in that regard is to have a business impact analysis. We use an acronym in this industry called BCDR, and it stands for Business Continuity and Disaster Recovery. It's kind of split into two things. The first side of it being business continuity, how to keep your business processes running while having an active cyber incident. How do we provide redundancies to the technology or the processes themselves to keep running? And the second half of that is the disaster recovery side, which is having very deliberate backups scheduled on a calculated timeline so that we can recover those services and the data, especially since that's the most important part of a company typically. And it's important to have those on-site backups, but it's also incredibly important to have those backups replicated off-site so that if somebody does get into the network, they don't have access to those. Companies typically spend a lot of time and money into the preventative side of cybersecurity. And while that's absolutely important, what we realize is that our most at-risk asset is our people themselves. 9 times out of 10, if I see a company get compromised, it's usually through a user who's clicking a link on an email or providing information that they didn't know was inappropriate to provide in some capacity. So having this mentality where we're training our employees on cybersecurity principles, where we help to provide some insight to our end users about how to stay safe. There's always that chance and a high likelihood that somebody's going to make a mistake, as we do as humans all the time. And when that happens, that means that somebody's now inside your network. And ultimately, good cybersecurity is good business risk management. And everything that we do and the mindsets that we take here at Stepping Forward is to keep your business going at all times. So if you're in the Colorado Springs area and you're looking to implement the mindset of assume breach mentality into your cybersecurity program, just visit us at steppingforward.tech and click the yellow Chat with Matt button. We'd be happy to work with you.